Welcome in, my math party people. I'm Anderson, your math coach as always, and what we're going to be doing in this video is I'm going to be showing you how to simplify fractions. So we have three different levels here to work through. We have easy, medium, and hard, and I'm going to take you through each one, how to tackle it, any things you want to look out for. That way you don't get confused and can move forward with nice, confident, real instruction. So with that said, again, we got three sections here. Now, if you're looking at this video inside of my Math Bootcamp course, then you're going to see that this is one of many worksheet videos that we'll go through. And in the next section, you'll be able to see the actual worksheet to work through all of the problems. I'm going to go through about 5 questions from each section. That way you can feel confident and comfortable. And then I'll give you some instructions at the end to move forward the right way. So let's go ahead and let's dive on in. So part 1 over here, okay, we're simplifying each of these fractions. Now let me walk you through how to really do this. So simplifying fractions, here's the main idea. The main idea behind simplifying fractions is writing it in the simplest way possible. So as a brief example that we can all understand is this. If I say I have, let's say, we're talking about shirts, right? Let's say we're talking about shirts and we're talking about laundry. Let's say that I'm saying, hey, I got 5 out of my 10 shirts. 5 of my 10 shirts that I own are clean. Well, what's another way to say that? What's an easier way to say that? A simpler way to say that? Well, 5 out of 10, isn't 5 half of 10? It is. So 5 is half of 10, and so what I can say, instead of saying 5 out of 10 of my shirts are clean, well, 5 is half of 10, so I can reduce that to half, 1 over 2. So I can, in a more simple way, I can say, hey, half of my shirts are clean. That's a much easier way, a much easier to interpret way to say it. And that's all this is about. Because with fractions, there are so many different fractions that mean the same idea, and so we want to make sure we know how to translate it in that way. So with that said, let's understand how to do this. So let's get rid of this over here, and let's really understand how to do this. 3 over 9. The way that you're going to simplify fractions is by understanding this: common factors. A common factor, long story short, is basically the same number that can multiply into this number and this number. And so when you look at 3 and you look at 9, aren't 3 and 9 both divisible by 3? They absolutely are, right? And so what I can say is hey, if I divide the top by 3 and the bottom by 3, I will simplify this fraction. So instead of using bigger numbers like 3 and 9, well, 3 divided by 3, that's going to be 1. 9 divided by 3, that's going to be 3. So 3 over 9 is the same thing as saying 1/3. It's the same as saying 1/3, and that's why B is going to be the answer here. But again, remember, my party people, the idea here is to simplify fractions, reduce them down to simplest terms. Very important, because you can get an answer of 3 over 9 on the test, but the thing is, if you have an answer of 3 over 9, but you didn't know that it's also the same thing as 1/3, well, guess what? You might not see the answer in the choices, and you might get it wrong. So that's the point of making sure that we know how to simplify fractions, because the answer choices that we're going to pick, they're always typically going to be in reduced fashion. So let's go ahead and go over number 2 here. Really quick, in case you didn't know, I host free classes once a week, 2 hours apiece, typically Mondays. So go ahead, join these classes. That way you can go ahead and sit in with us, ask questions, learn. Again, it's free. I'm here to help you out. I want to see you succeed. So go ahead and find the link here or in the description of this video. That way you can sign up, raise your score, and keep moving forward. And by the way, it includes a free practice test with video solutions. That way you can learn from every mistake. Let's get to it, and let's taste the ASVAB. Number 2, we're looking at, right over here, let me go ahead and do this. All right, 12 over 15. So 12 over 15, again, we want to reduce this. What do they both have in common? Well, 12, if we think about it, isn't 12 the same thing as 4 times 3? It is. Isn't 15 the same thing as 5 times 3? It absolutely is. So this is just another way to look at simplifying fractions. Because remember earlier how I looked at number 1 and I was like, oh yeah, just divide the top and the bottom by 3. Well, the thing is, what you're really doing is you're canceling out the same factors. So this is another way to look at it. Let me show you right over here. If I have 4 times 3 over 5 times 3, what happens when you divide the same number by itself? What happens when you do that? 3 divided by 3 is just going to be 1, right? And that's what we call canceling out. So 3 over 3, that cancels out, and that just becomes a 1. And so we can cancel these out, leaving us with 4 over 5. Just like that. And so that's why the answer here is going to be A. And so I hope you're starting to see this, my party people. Again, simplifying fractions just means writing it in the simplest way possible. That way we can talk about it easier. That's it. So here, 18 over 27, let's take a look here. So again, to get this done, we have to have a pretty good knowledge of what factors are, what numbers multiply to get to that number. And so here, to simplify this, we're just taking away what they have in common. That's it. So here, 18 and 27, let's think about it. Well, 18 and 27, they both have 9 in common. Now, if you're thinking, well, hey, don't they also have 3 in common? Absolutely. But 9 is 3 times 3. So 9 already includes that 3. So you always want to do what's called reducing by the greatest common factor, or the biggest number that they have in common. That's how you can get it to the simplest form. Okay? So let me show you 2 ways to do this one. I'm going to show you how to do it if you went ahead and did it the long way by starting with a 3. So you can say 18 is 6 times 3 and 27 is 9 times 3. Let's say we did it this way first. Okay, cool. I noticed that we have a 3 there and a 3 there, and those are going to cancel out. Great. So now we have 6 over 9. Are we done? Is B the answer? It's not. It absolutely is not, because again, the goal here is to write it in simplest terms. So to continue here, to reduce this even more, we have to see that 6 and 9, they both also include a 3. 6 is 3 times 2. 9 is 3 times 3. So let's go ahead and reduce that right here. Again, 6 is going to be 3 times 2. 9 is 3 times 3. So if you notice, right over here, we have a 3 and a 3, and those will cancel out, leaving me officially with 2 over 3, and that's why C is the answer. But before we move forward to the next problem, notice here that, hey, is there any way for us to go straight to 2 over 3, like straight to the answer? There absolutely is. So allow me to go ahead, and you can rewind if you need to see this again, but I'm going to go ahead and remove all of this. Well, not like that. Give me one moment, my party people. So let's go ahead and take this, make it smaller, put it over here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work through this again. And this time, I'm going to try to think about the biggest number that goes into both of them. The biggest number that goes into both 18 and 27 is 9. 18 is 9 times 2. 27 is 9 times 3. And so if you check this out, look at how cool this can be. Look at how quick we can do this, because 9 and 9, those are going to cancel out. And bam, we are left immediately with 2 over 3. And there's our answer. So I hope you see what the point is here, my party people. This is all about, again, reducing fractions into the simplest way that we can talk about them. Why would you say 100 over 200 when you can just say half? Because 100 is half of 200. That's the idea, my party people. Here we go, number 4. 2 over 4. So if you look at this, this might sound familiar. Isn't 2 half of 4? So that should reduce to 1/2. This should absolutely reduce to 1/2. But here's how. Again, the way it happens is you can think about it 2 ways. You can think about this as 2 over, and 4 is 2 times 2. So what ends up happening is one of those 2's cancels out, leaving you with 1 over 2. Now, when you're canceling out, literally what you're doing is you're saying, hey, 2 and 2, let's divide those out. So 2 divided by 2, 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. We have a 1 up top and 1 times 2 on the bottom, keeping that 2 right there. So here's another way to see it. And now we're going to, after this, we're going to kick it up to the harder questions. But watch this. I can say, hey, I'm going to divide the top by 2 and divide the bottom by 2. When we do that, what we end up getting is going to be 1 over 2. So I just showed you both ways. One, you can think about it as splitting into the factors and canceling out what they have in common. Or you can divide the same thing from the top and the bottom, just like that. So here we go. Let's go to number 5. And then after this, we are going into the harder set. So get ready for that. So 12 over 16. Well, 12 over 16, what do we have here? Well, the thing is, you have to just sit back and think about this. If you know your times tables, 12 and 16, they're both divisible by 2, since they're both even, for sure. But what's a bigger number that we can think of? Well, 12 is 4 times 3. 16 is 4 times 4. Right there. So I can divide both of these by 4 if I wanted to, which I am doing here. That's the goal. And so 12 divided by 4 is going to give me 3. 16 divided by 4 is going to give me 4. And the answer here is 3/4. So that's how it works, my party people. There's the first section here. This is the more straightforward one. And now we're going to get into the harder section. So if you're in the Math Bootcamp course, what you're going to notice is that, hey, you have all of these questions that you can go through, and then you have all of these, and you keep going to all of these. And then you're going to see that on the next page here, the last one, you have the answers listed for you. So notice how there's stars next to the answers, and that's how you can check your work on all of the worksheets in my course. So again, if you're watching in the course or on YouTube, find the course, get in there, have fun. If you're watching this already in the course, again, when you go to the next section and you go to the worksheet, you can see all of the answers at the bottom. But here we go. Let's go and go to the next set of questions here. Hope you're enjoying watching so far. As a reminder, we do have a free class once a week that I do want to make sure you get into. Typically they're on Mondays, but go ahead and click the link here to see the schedule for all the classes, and you'll see that again, there's a free class once a week. And if you've already seen how I teach and you enjoy it and you want to learn more about my program, then go ahead and shoot me a text, 567-698-8867, and say, hey, Coach Anderson, this is blank, and I want to learn more about your program. So go ahead, either sign up for the free class or ask me about the program so you can keep boosting your score and get that job you deserve. Again, let's ace the ASVAB. Let's get to it. Do it now. Let's go. So here, number 11. Let's try these out. So 11, 36/32. So what we're going to do here is, again, ask ourselves, what number can go into both the numerator and denominator? Now, if you're not quite sure what can go into both 36 and 32, you can start off with a simpler number, any number. Since they're both even numbers, start off with 2. You can start off with 2 if you didn't know that. So I'm going to divide both the top and the bottom by 2. So 36 divided by 2, you should know this, it's going to be 18. And if you don't, we got to work on our multiplication and division. Here, 32 divided by 2 is going to be 16. So we have all that. Up next, well, what I see here is that, well, 18/16, can we keep simplifying this? Yeah, we can. Because what I know is that 18 is the same as 9 times 2, and 16 is going to be 8 times 2. And what I notice is that we have a 2 up top and a 2 on bottom, and those are going to cancel out, leaving me with 9/8. That's why A is the answer for number 11. Now let's keep going. These are harder because we're using bigger numbers. So now we have 27/18, and notice that we're using improper fractions. We'll talk about that later on in the course here. I gotcha. So we have 27/18. What do they have in common? Well, we saw earlier we had 18/27, right? And they both had a 9 in common. I can see that here too. I can actually go ahead and divide them both by 9, or I can show that 27 is 9 times 3, and then 18 is 9 times 2. And if I go ahead and do my due diligence here, I can cancel those out, and I'm going to leave myself with 3/2. Nice and easy right there. And so my party people, there's the answer here. It's going to be C. Now I'll do one more here in this section, and I'm going to go to the next section where it's the hardest one. And in the hardest one, what's going to happen is we're going to have maybe improper fractions that we're going to have to turn into mixed numbers. And you're going to see plenty of questions like that on the test itself. So here, number 13. We have 162/90. This one's pretty, right? It seems pretty intense, but it's very, very doable. So 162/90, you might be looking at that and you might be saying, well, I don't know what the greatest common factor is. I don't know what the biggest number is. Start small. Start small. What's a number that I can divide into both the numerator and denominator? Typically, when you have two even numbers, like 162 and 90, those are both even numbers. And remember, with even numbers, you can always divide them by 2. I can always divide them by 2. And what's going to happen, again, remember to do the same to the top and the bottom. Got to make sure you do that. And so here, 160 divided by 2 is 80. So 162 divided by 2 is 81. Boom. So that's going to be 81. And then 90 divided by 2 is 45. And if you didn't know that, that's where you're going to go ahead and use your long division. But nothing beats mental math. If you know your multiplication, if you know your division, then this is going to be much, much easier. And that's why I always say practice your mental math. It will save you because it applies to everything on the test. So with that said here, 81 divided by 45, do they have anything in common? Well, now you might be able to see it because you're using smaller numbers, and you might notice that, hey, 81 is 9 times 9. 45 is 9 times 5. And so with that said, oh, look at this. We can go ahead and eliminate the 9. And so when we reduce this, we have 9 over 5. Answer A. Nice and easy. And so now up next, I'm going to jump forward into the hard section, and I'm going to show you how to get some of these done. And then after that, again, if you're in the course, get on in there and practice, practice, practice. So here we go. Here's the next one over here. So 132 over 84. Again, looks similar to the other ones. But what you're going to see is we have to turn them into mixed numbers at the end. So I'm going to walk you through how to do that as well. I got you. So 132 over 84. Both of these are going to be even. So even if I don't know what I should do first, I know for a fact that since they're both even if I don't know what the biggest number is, I can start small. I can divide them each by 2. Now I know 84 divided by 2, that's going to be simpler. That's 42. That's a little easier. But 132 divided by 2, what might that be? Again, if you don't know it right away and you're having a little trouble with your mental math, then you need to go ahead as quickly as you can, do some long division. But if I'm doing this with mental math, here's what I would do. I would split it up into 100 divided by 2 and 32 divided by 2. Because 100 divided by 2 is 50. 32 divided by 2 is 16. 50 plus 16 is going to be 66. So we should have 66, but I'm going to prove it to you right here. 2 going into 132. Watch this. 2 goes into 1, doesn't. 2 goes into 13, 6 times. So subtract that 12. Then bring down that 2. 2 goes into 12, 6 times. 66, exactly as we predicted. So boom, that's 66 over 42. And then you want to ask yourself, well, am I done simplifying? Can I keep reducing? Yeah, you can keep reducing because 66 and 42, they both share a 6. Just like this. They both share 6 because 66 is 6 times 11. 42 is 6 times 7. And so notice, if you know your multiplication tables and how to multiply and divide, especially mentally, this becomes so much easier. And so with that said, my party people, bam, gone. We have 11 over 7 as our answer. Now let me erase this over here. And now we have 11 over 7. Now the next step that we have to take, because again, look at the answer choices. All of our answer choices are all mixed numbers. So the question is, how do I turn this into a mixed number? I got you. So what we're going to do here is, I have 11 over 7, right? So here's how you turn an improper into a mixed number. You're going to ask yourself, well, hey, how many times does the denominator go into the numerator? Right? How many times does 7 go into 11? Well, 11 divided by 7, that's only one time. That's only once. And the remainder, well, 7 going to 11, that's 4 left over. So this would turn into, I'm going to show you 2 ways, so don't get lost, I got you. You're going to have one time, 7 can go into 11 one time, and then there's 4 left over out of 7. But let me show you the other way to think about it. Another way to convert an improper into a mixed number is just like this. You can just go ahead and divide 7 into 11, and the remainder that you get, so don't go into the decimals, but the remainder that you get, that's what you leave or remains in the numerator. Check this out. So 7 goes into 11 one time, right? You take away your 7, you have 4 left over, and 7 can't go into 4, right? And we're not going to go into the decimals. So here's what happens. This is the whole number. So you're going to have 1. And then here, this is your remainder. This is your remainder. And so that's going to be the 4 left over out of the 7, because this is what you were originally dividing by. That's what the denominator was. So you keep the denominator the same. All you're doing is changing it from an improper to a mixed. And that's how we get that done right here. And so boom, 1 and 4 over 7 is what we have. Now I'm going to be kind here. I got you. I'm going to go over 2 more of these. So I'm going to go over 22 and 23. And then again, I would like for you to go ahead and go through the worksheet on your own up next in this section. So we have 1 and 18 over 126. Wow. The great thing is, first of all, this is already a mixed number. So we're good. You know, the thing is, this is already mixed. This is already mixed. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and say this. Well, what are 18 and 126 both divisible by? Just focus on this part, on the fraction part. So what are 18 and 126 both divisible by? Well, they're both even numbers. So always think about that. If they're both even, they can both be divided by 2. You can get yourself an easier time like that. So let's divide by 2 and divide by 2. 18 divided by 2 is 9. And then 126 divided by 2, well, I know that 120 divisible by 2 is 60. And then the 6 divided by 2 is 3. So that will be 60 and 3 together, or 63. Mental math all day. Divide if you want to with the long division, do your thing. But mental math is king here. Next up, we have 9 over 63. Well, what can 9 and 63, what are they both divisible by? What are their common factors? Well, can 9 go into 63? It can. It can, because 9 times 7 is 63. And what I'll do over here is this, my party people. Divide this by 9. And divide this by 9. And this ends up becoming 1. 9 divided by 9 is 1. 63 divided by 9 is 7. And there we have it. 1 and 1/7 would be the answer. So here we already had it as a mixed number, and we went ahead and just reduced it, and we're good. Let me see if there's another one here that will turn into an improper, or that would be improper that we can turn into a mixed, right here. So I'll go over 24, and I'll also go over 23 in a moment, but let me start off with 24 just to get back to that mixed number example. So as always, we have 126 over 108. Well, again, in the beginning, if you don't know what numbers go into both, observe the numbers. They're both even, so I'll go ahead and divide both by 2. Again, they're both even, so just divide them by 2. So 126, as we just saw in the previous problem, that's going to be 63. And then 108 divided by 2, well, 100 divided by 2 is 50. 8 divided by 2 is 4, so that should be 54. Booyah. Now, taking a look at 63 and 54, what do they have in common? Well, one thing I know is that 63 is 7 times 9, and 54, is that divisible by 7 or 9? 9. Know your multiplication tables. That's 9 times 6. So what we have here, I can divide both of them by 9, because that's going to give me, over here, 7 over 6. Are we done? No, look at those answers. They're all mixed numbers. So we have to go ahead and turn this into a mixed number, and then we're good. So how many times does 6 go into 7? Well, 6 goes into 7 one time. That's the whole number right there. That's the whole. And then we subtract the 6, and we have 1 left over. So there's your remainder. There's your remainder. That's what's left over. And the remainder is what you keep or remains in the numerator. So this 7 over 6 over here turns into that whole 1 from right here, the 1 that we got. And then the remainder here, 1, and we keep the 6 as it was before. So 1 and 1 over 6 is the answer, and that is A in this case. Booyah, nice and easy. Now let's go ahead and go over this last one here. We got 72 over 234. Let's go over this one. Let me zoom on in a little more. Let's get to work. So first things first, I'm looking at this and I'm like, whoo, 72 and 234? What happens here? Well, the thing is, my party people, these are both even numbers. So do your thing. If they're both even, divide them both by 2. Now, if we divide 72 by 2, we are going to get 36. This is something that we really want to practice and get down, because I want you to avoid doing stuff like that for everything. You know, you don't need to do long division for everything. When you realize that when you practice enough, you'll know this off the top of your head. That'll be 36. 234 divided by 2 would be 117. Now, can we continue simplifying here? Yes, absolutely. The reason I know that is because I got 36 over 117. I don't see a 117 in the denominator anywhere. So I still got more work to do. I know I can get more work in. I know I can. So what can I do here? Well, 117 is an odd number. So we can't divide that by 2. That sucks. But what we can do is we can go ahead and take a look at the 36 and ask ourselves, what's 36? Well, 36 is 9 times 4. Well, I know 4 can't go in there because that's even, so no. But 9, can 9 go into 117? Can it? Let's find out. And if you need to do long division really quick, do it. 9 going into 117, let's see. 9 goes into 11 one time. Then bring down to 7. 9 goes into 27 3 times. Oh, that's 13. So when we simplify this, when we divide both the top and the bottom by 9, we have 4 over 13. And there's the answer right here. And so, my party people, there it is. I just want to go ahead and take a quick, brief moment here to cap that off there. Again, my party people, the best thing in the world that we can do here is this. Go through the worksheet, practice, practice, practice. Anything that you don't understand, we want to make sure that we identify those points of issues, because at the end of the day, by identifying what we need to work on, there's a little more of a solid understanding in terms of what you can do moving forward. And so in this section, we got a lot going on. This is the first of many videos that you'll see for the worksheet, but here in the course, you have speed drills, you get yourself worksheets, you might have some lesson videos as well. Just make sure to look beneath this section to see everything that's available for this topic or concept. That way you can build that confidence and keep moving forward. Remember to talk about every problem that you do. That way you can build that confidence and assure yourself that you'll have it all down moving forward. So with that said, I am Coach Anderson. I'm always happy to be here, always happy to help you out. Let's move forward now into the next section. Again, if you're watching this in the course itself, you just go below the section and keep practicing the worksheets up next. If you're watching this on YouTube, then go ahead and check the description of this video to go ahead and check this thing out in our program to help you succeed. So with that said, my party people, Coach Anderson here, Coach Anderson out. I'll see you in the next video. Let's keep getting smarter.